How's it going, Pisces community? Soul Tigress here with a special story for this wonderful frequency. So first off, before we get started with this story, Pisces, let me tell you thank you for your patience, because I had to extend my leave for an extra month due to medical reasons. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's get started. Pisces, on the surface, you look unbothered, but deep within, your world feels upside down. Have you been putting up with too much to where others expect you, dear Pisces, to be okay with anything that they do? You may not show it, but some of their actions do hurt you, leaving you feeling like you are unimportant to the world. Dear Pisces, when you look in the mirror, are you truly happy with the person who looks back at you? That is a really big question here for you, Pisces. Really big question. I've been reading a book lately, and something that has came up in this book is how people will adapt to the toxic environment. And what happens in that adaptation of a toxic environment is addictions. Addictions to be in that environment. Addictions that help numb the pain of that environment. So I'm not saying, Pisces, that you're all drugged up, drugged out kind of thing. But if you look at the different coping mechanisms that you have to use to get throughout your day in this toxic environment, I feel like, then that's where that big question comes in at the end is, are you really happy with the person who looks back at you when you look in the mirror? So let's get started. We have 7 here, a reunion of souls. I don't know why I'm speaking on this number 7. I usually don't call out the numbers right away, but let's go ahead and look at what 777 represents. A spiritual awakening. You have listened, and it's time to reap the rewards. And sometimes the rewards are coming into conscious of things, being able to perceive things a little bit different when we didn't know. Let's keep going. We also have feminine energy, being gentle with ourselves, balancing out this energy, knowing when to move and when to rest. Some other things that come with feminine energy is the moon energy, nurturing, earth, autumn, winter, water, cool. So if you've been a little bit hot-headed lately, a little bit of irritable lately, maybe it's time to bring things in that help you relax and cool down your energy. Some things that come out stacked up one on another, and it's a lot of things that you're not seeing. Moving into balance, feeling balance between the light and the day of the things that are happening. Something else is growth. You're not seeing things come to blossom. You're not feeling like you are growing. It's a lot of feeling like you've been stuck in the same spot for years and years and years. And it is all based off of something that you haven't forgave yet. Is this something that you've dug in your heels into the ground to be stubborn with, to be stuck with it as well? Then we have, I like this one a lot. I always take into consideration before I start cleansing out the decks, what is the card sitting at the bottom of the deck when I first get it out? And from the vibe, this one really, really fits. Stripping the illusions. Something that you don't see, and even if it is brought to some kind of view of yours, whether emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, It's something that you really, really hide from. It's something that's really, really hard to maneuver to, in a sense of wanting to strip these illusions. Then we have discernment, another card that came up. Confused, unknowing how to use it, when to use it, and if you're entitled to use discernment. This is something that hasn't been practiced. You haven't been practicing it. It may have been something that could be of a new type of energy to you, Pisces, because the 12th house, which is the Piscean house, is all about ending old cycle to prepare for a new cycle. Pisces, you've been being put through the ringer lately. A lot of people been put through the ringer since the beginning of the year, but all of this is building up, and you are going through what I'm feeling like is a lot of depression type of energy. It's a lot of darkness, a lot of not understanding, a lot of what I'm hearing to say is nostalgia that feeds the depression, visiting ideas of where things were supposed to be at this time, but things are not moving there. And it has to do with things that are also impacting your health. Maybe the things that you're using to cope with the environment is also having an effect on your health, on how you feel, and even the motivation to do things. That's what I'm feeling like. But a lot of it has to do with the illusions that you keep letting these others play out on you. So let's keep going. Let's keep going, Pisces. Like I said, stuff's going to build up for you here on March 18th. You're going to have your full moon coming about. And before that was the blood moon, the full moon. I believe it was on the 3rd of March. Yeah, the Virgo moon. And that is the 6th house, self-examination and improvement. This is why you are reaching back to the nostalgia of things when you had first started out, and the things that you've seen the potential of what it could be, or where you could be with it. It's okay to go and revisit why you've started certain things, but in all of that, it gets you down. You're not really filling out who you are. You're not filling out the growth since then until now. So how can we use discernment when we're filtering through all these emotions, especially when we have a really heavy mood sitting upon our shoulders, feeling like it's draining us out? Oh, Pisces, one step at a time, one step at a time. I'm always telling my clients now, through small acts of self-care, that's how you combat stress. Actually look at how you're taking care of yourself. Are you actually taking care of yourself, or are you just buying things superficially to put on you to help cover up the voids that you feel like plague you? Alright, oh my goodness. Let's see. I still hear one card after this. What is the last card here? What is the last card? There we go. Last few cards. So something that you're at the biggest distance with in the present. In the present. The 9 of Pentacles. This personal success. This personal success that comes with the stability, security, groundedness. Being able to stand tall in who you are and what you've been doing this whole time. That's something that's really far out of distance. So let's keep going. The World, the Sun, Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups, feeling uninspired. Queen of Cups. Really, really stuck on keeping things the same, in the sense with the World card here. World card talks about the things that we attach ourselves to for security. And on the other side of that coin, it talks about dramatic change. But for you, Pisces, it's been the same routine. The belief of, hey, if we keep going about this the same way, things are going to change. But with this devil right here on top of the Star card, things aren't changing, and this is a part of the illusions. You have caged yourself in a sense to where you don't even feel emotionally successful. Putting down conflict is really, really hard for you right now. Just like facing yourself in the mirror was hard for you at one time when you were younger as well. This has been something that you've been dealing with for quite a while when it comes to your mind and how to process things, how to see things, how to resolve things in a sense. Because I say that with the other side of star energy, right here it talks about fulfillment. It talks about sharing the things that you have with others. But when it talks about on the reverse side, it talks about mental illness. It talks about really struggling in life. I'm not saying you're mentally ill, Pisces. What I'm saying is there's some things that you need to learn how to work out with yourself, for yourself. Everybody likes to think that we're all the same. We're not all the same. We don't process things the same. We don't go through traumas the same. We don't take the impacts of things that are happening to us the same as everyone else. We are all individuals with our own experiences and our views. There's something here that could have happened when you were a wee bit younger that started to distort your view about yourself. There's something about you that really, really irritates you. And this is not trying to point the finger at you, but I actually know somebody. I know a Libra. And this Libra, no matter how much I try to lead them from their shadow side, this Libra likes to stay at odds ends with themselves. They have such a distorted view of themselves that they have actually deemed themselves their enemy. I'm guilty of that. I've done that before, and it's taken a lot to learn about myself, to accept myself for all my flaws. I am no perfect person with not even one really perfect experience. What is perfect, though? What is perfect? Perfect exists in fictional stories. And that's what I had to tell Gemini right before I did this Pisces story, because today is definitely mutable energy, putting things to an end so we can let something new grow, a new season come in. So let's keep going. Let's keep going here into this present. With this Three of Swords, there is some kind of deception that happened in your past. It could be deception that's still happening right now. Definitely it comes at these more youthful type of energies. These energies who look good on the outside, but they have their own vendettas within. And a lot of times their vendettas is like bringing a lot of conflict. There's a lot of heavy jealousy between these energies on who is better than who. So you could be in the crowd that's a lot of wanting to keep up with the Joneses, really trying to imitate what society or quote unquote the matrix seems as success. So if one person buys a new car, then the other person has to buy a newer and more expensive car. If one person buys a Rolex, then the other person has to go buy something that's more expensive than a Rolex. That's what I'm getting here with this Three of Cups. This community doesn't celebrate. Wherever you're at, they don't celebrate each other's successes. It's a lot of competition here. This competition is, nobody sees each other as equals. Nobody sees each other as equal, but you have one energy in particular who I'm hearing can be very conniving when I look at this King of Swords. Very conniving, very intimidating, and very withdrawn. This King of Swords is on a mission of all of his own. And this King of Swords, you have a really hard time celebrating things with, whether it's a woman, a man, a they, a them, whatever it is. But whoever it is, they are their own tyrant. They are their own tyrant in your life, but they're their own tyrant in their own life. And so what happens again is you've learned how to adapt to this kind of living, and you've kind of tried to find your place among this crowd in a sense. But like I said, there's a lot of deception. It's a lot of illusions that's going on with everybody here. If I was to really poke at everything, how you feel inside is how each one of these ones feel as well. Misery loves company. But each person that we have relationships with, whether it's intimate, friendship, acquaintanceship, co-workers, those people all have certain reflections of us that they're reflecting, reasoning why we're so comfortable with them. Even if they're reflecting the things that we're insecure about, it's really, really amazing how this happens. And it could even happen when you don't even know somebody, but if you listen to them long enough, you can hear their insecurities start coming out. I'll give you, for instance, an example, Pisces. Since you read between the lines on things, I was in this meeting the other day, and we had this lady who had a really reputable career, had a good reputable product that she was coming in with. And I didn't sit with her too well because I did not give up the chair that I went and got for myself. It was a nice chair. It had a back to it. And as soon as I rolled that chair into the room where I was going to sit, she starts to mention that she needs a chair too. Well, my big old butt straight sat in my chair. And this lady, they gave me a look. Gave me a look. And she would continue to do little things at the beginning of this meeting to show her disapproval. And you know what? Then she carried on into talking about her skin and stuff like that. And we weren't having the meeting per se about her to learn any more about her skin. Just to learn more about the product, which I mean, you can kind of tie a little bit into, but she kind of went too deep into it. And I'm not going to lie, my skin was looking good. I had just did a scrub not too long ago and stuff like that. And one of the things that happens a lot is I get mistaken for being so many years, I'm not going to say it, but so many years younger than what I am. So this lady probably thought she was a good 20 years older than me, and that's why she was acting the way she was acting. But Pisces, I tell you this story because you are very good at feeling the energies. You can read people's moods. You can read their emotions. You can feel the vibrations that are coming out of them. Even when they're saying things that they're not saying with their mouth, but with their energy. And again, I tell you this tidbit because if you were actually to sit back and observe these people in conversation when you're with them, you'd see that it's not you that they have a problem with, it's with themselves. You, just for you being who you are, the way you look, to the way you dress, to even how your hair or skin looks, sets off their insecurities. This is again why everybody's always trying to one up. I'm not gonna lie, this lady was funny because she was all thinking she was gonna get me jealous over a male coworker. I don't care. I don't care about no married guy. I'm not into married men. You could sit here, try look cute, try and flirt like I'm gonna give two craps, that's not my husband. I don't care. And that doesn't say much about your character. It says that you're really, really insecure at the end of the day with yourself. So Pisces, next time you're in their midst, I would just see if you can hang back and just listen. Listen to this crowd. Listen to what you are dulling your shine down to stay in this toxic environment. All right, so let's go ahead and continue into the shadow side. Super sorry I went off on a lot of detours there, but angels of protection, please help guide and protect us as we navigate the shadow side when it comes to the Piscean energy. So some of these cards are inappropriate images for YouTube. So you may notice some editing, or you may notice that I'm not showing you the cards all the way. That's because they're not appropriate for this channel. Alright, any other cards? I'm hearing one more card for the shadow side. Let's see if I could speed up the shadow side a little bit so we don't go too far past 30 minutes. Alright, so definitely a lot of things are piled up, especially when it comes to stripping the illusions, you know, cooling down your energy, rebalancing yourself out, being able to grow, and using forgiveness to get yourself out of this. So one of the things that first stands out is on the Two of Cups lands the Two of Cups. There's a definite confusion when it comes to the things that you're matched with. Definitely, it's really hard to walk away from things. Like I said, that whoever this King of Cups is an energy that I feel like looks good on the outside, but again, behind closed doors, what people don't see is the addictions or something that's plaguing this person as well. There's definitely a lot of mental instability here, a lot of emotional instability here, led by the crowd. Nobody's really trying to do anything to heal. I feel like when it comes to being able to get unstuck. And see, this is what's weird, is you have this Ten of Cups here. Okay, this does make sense now. You have this Ten of Cups, but then you also have the Eight of Cups. So you have what you originally wanted way back in the day when you were young. You know, things that you were still hoping were possible for you. But then you've walked away from those very things at the same time. You've walked away those things to settle for something else. It doesn't have to be per se like this, but it is for something else. And that something else has left you stripped. Let me see if I can do this. Stripped and more ill. You could be having some paranoia, maybe some bad nightmares, you know, or maybe there's a lot of focus on everything bad that can happen at this point. With this Five of Cups, it's definitely you're not moving, your energy's not moving, you're not progressing. And when you get stagnant, your energy starts to get stale. And in the medical field, you move it or you lose it. When you're out in the wild and you're looking for water, you would want water that's coming from a stream opposed to water that's been sitting in a pond. So it's really, really, really important that you get up and you create this movement, because whatever's happening, you're trying to have a competition with somebody and their ego or somebody and their addictions. And I am hearing that their addictions are going to win. That's all I know, is their addictions are going to win, because their addictions, from what I see here, are emotionally driven. Whatever this is. Then you have the Five of Pentacles, confused. Very confused on how to see things, how to feel about things, especially when it comes to the deceit. This is where I was telling you, you're putting up with things from people because they have been doing it and you've grown used to putting up with these routines. And then this last card here is the Page of Swords. Whoever this person is, this other one, the King of Swords, who he, she, they are, the tyrant, that's a tyrant in their life and a tyrant in your life. They use their social media platforms to entice your triggers. That's what I get there. They use these social media platforms to drive you crazy with what they're doing, what they're posting, what they're showing, how they're responding to things. They feed off of your reactions. And you know what? There is a little bit of ill energy attached to this. It was very, very hard to sift through. Very hard to sift through. I can't say it's a dark energy per se, but there are low vibing other energies that have been attaching to this. So you could have gone to some really low places and you can pick up energy attachments, and they will feed off of the environment, because the type of environment that you're providing is something that they like, whether you believe in the supernatural or not. But it is something that's even creating more weight on your shoulders when it comes to your mental and your emotional stability, which again is feeding into the illness that you're feeling in your physical being. Oh my goodness, Pisces. What I see is that you're very wound up. It's time to start unwinding things, and it isn't that you have to pull the thread off like rapidly, but what I see, it's like a tennis shoe, a sneaker, Air Force One, Air Maxes, Skechers, whatever you want to call them. But if you've ever had a pair of shoes that were really knotted, really good, they were like double, triple knotted so they wouldn't come untie, and you knew that over there pulling on it only made the knot worse, and you had to sit there and you got frustrated, but you had to take a break from it. Then you came back and you realized that trying to pull at it wasn't going to work. It was making things worse. But instead you had to work it. You had to look at it. You had to see where things were feeding from. And then you slowly had to start to loosen things up. This is what I mean by you have to unwind yourself. You have to untie these knots that you've tied yourself up in to stay in this environment for so long with whoever, whatever these others are. Taking your time with it. Alrighty, let's get out of this shadow side here. Oh my goodness. That's a lot, Pisces. That is a lot. But I'll tell you, if you make it out of this situation, you will be able to breathe. And you will see what you're looking for, what you once hoped was possible for you is still possible for you. But it's never going to be that until you put an end to this old cycle. And you go off curious about what new can come your way. All right, divine and universal energy. What are the positive messages that need to come out for Pisces? What are the positive messages to conclude this story with? Oh my goodness. And I'm hearing one card. That's the card. All right, so let's start with the card here that came flying out towards you, Pisces. This talks about that tyrant. This talks about how they trigger you. So this may be something that helps you work through this trigger when they're trying to entice your reactions. It says, every time I choose to align my spirit, the highest guidance, or excuse me, every time I choose to align my spirit, the guidance of the highest truth appears to me. What that means is, instead of reacting to the situation, instead of feeding into what they want you to feed into, again, how can you step back and align your energy with where you want it to be? Because if you want to align your energy with their chaos, you're more than willing to do that. You're more than willing to feed into this game. You're more than willing to play along if you really, really want to. You have that free will. But also at the same time, you could be more than willing to step back, to hold patience, so that you can gain clarity, so you can actually observe what's happening. And that is how you practice discernment, is you elevate yourself from that reaction level to a higher place, and you start to look at the bigger picture around you, observing how this is making you feel, observing the actions that are being taken. Why is that happening? You know, this person truly cares about you. Why are they trying to bring you down in your mood? Why are they trying to make you feel a certain way that doesn't align with that higher vibration? All right, something you're at odds with and you have a hard time seeing is, when I live according to the guidance of my soul, I can let go of all my worries and fears because I know that everything is in the best arrangement. Oh, this one's a good one right here, especially if we have a lot of fear. A lot of fear, because if we let go, if we stop controlling, then it might disappear. It might not be around. But what happens if you get rid of a tyrant to gain something better? There's this song, it's by Garth Brooks, it's called Unanswered Prayers. I would invite you to listen to that song. It talks about how a person used to pray for something at one phase in their life when they were younger, but 20, 30 years later, what they once prayed for, they don't have it no more. And they have something really, really different. And it's better than what they used to pray for. This is what this is speaking about. Sometimes when we try and grasp onto things that are meant to go, we end up hurting ourselves and that very thing even more. Alright, something else you're not seeing is, my super attractiveness comes from my faith and love and the joy I release. Yes. Imagine looking at yourself in a mirror, not from the view where you're unhappy with your life, unhappy with your circumstances. Imagine looking at yourself in the mirror if you were happy, if you were pleased with everything that was working out. Imagine how you would view yourself then. I'm not saying go and demolish everything, but I'm saying that there has to be a change in perspective here if you choose to. You have to figure out what type of energy you want to align yourself with. Do you want to wake up every day hating your life, or do you want to wake up every day loving your life through the trials and errors, the different challenges, the different failures? Because it's going to happen. But again, imagine what it would be like to look at yourself in the mirror through love. Would you let this tyrant keep doing their stuff? Would you follow this tyrant and be overwhelmed by their emotional instabilities that are led by addictions? I'll be upfront right here. Some people use their emotions to validate their addictions. Yes, that is very true. Some people will do that. They will continue to live a shitty life, an unfulfilled life, so that they can continue to be addicted to whatever they're addicted to. Be careful, Pisces. Feeling good gives me far more than I need. It's priceless. It is priceless, but it's something that's practiced. It's something that you have to protect as well. It's something that you have to learn about when you haven't been in routine with it. Feeling good just isn't for the birds. I'll tell you what. Oh, I love this. This one I seen earlier. I love that it came out. When I surrender my will to care of spirit and the universe, I align my energies with the ever-present flow of happiness. I feel like getting invested in some type of higher faith here could be something that really helps you, Pisces. I'm not saying that you're scared and you need to run to church. That's not what I'm saying. If you choose to go to a church, that is up to you. I hope you find a really good support congregation if you do. You know, don't go into one toxic environment and end up in another one. And I'm not saying all churches are bad. That's not what I'm saying. But what this is saying is definitely if you can align yourself through the higher spirit, the higher spirited of things, the higher vibrations of things. Instead of looking for everything that is wrong with you, Pisces, how can you look for everything that is right with you type of energy? How can you align yourself with understanding that this life is a gift? And the gift isn't meant to make you suffer throughout your years. The gift isn't here to make you feel less about yourself. This gift of life is to help show you how amazing you can be, how much you can overcome things that you never knew that you could overcome. This is a part of your energy, Pisces, when it comes to transcendence type of energy. Oh my goodness gracious. This was a beautiful story, Pisces. I really, really appreciate your frequency sharing this with me. And this is going to conclude it. Don't forget to thank your angels, ancestors, spirit guides, as well as divine and universal energy for coming on in and helping out. And as always, I hope that you have a most wonderful rest of your day.